That was then.
Here's a picture of my twin brother, Ted, as I like to say.
This is now. Our cameras record a year in the life as he becomes a she.
Am I my dad's son still, or am I his daughter?
I was devastated.
Am I her wife? Am I her husband?
I miss being able to go out on a date with my husband and hug him and kiss him in public. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
A secret since childhood that will change the lives of an entire family, 2 women and their 2 little children. As their father becomes their mother, how do they understand this incredible change?
Did you always have 2 mommies? Do you know what happened?
She had a girl inside her, and so she went on her surgery to get it out.
Really?
Facing old friends, new prospects, and a wife who doesn't know what to do.
I still love him, her.
I don't want to let her go, but I know I have to.
We just want them to, be happy. Be happy that they have each other.
Family Secrets, a primetime limited series. Here's Juju Chang.
Oh my goodness, look at those muscles.
In the year 2009, 2 women living together as a couple, raising their sons, may not be typical, but it's not unheard of, even here in Northern Ohio. Chloe and Renee Prince have been together since their first encounter 9 years ago. Their apartments were just doors apart.
She knocks on my door needing somebody to fix her computer, and I'm like, oh my God, you know. Hot Renee is at my door.
When I first met you, I love the fact that you're the kind of person that's not afraid. And I found that very attractive. And yeah.
And like all couples, Renee and Chloe Prince struggle with work, finances, and raising their sons, Logan and Barry, ages 7.5 and 6.
This is me.
Yep.
Not me. This is Barry. This is Mom. And this is our other mom that used to be Dad.
But this is not a typical story of 2 moms.
This bedroom for the last few years has had 3 people living in it.
There is another person in Chloe and Renee's marriage, a man. Renee desperately wants him to stay, but Chloe can't live with him anymore.
Here's a picture of my twin brother, Ted, as I like to say.
Chloe Prince is a male-to-female transsexual. Her gender reassignment surgery happened in May of 2008. For the past year, we've followed Chloe and her family as that gigantic plunge into womanhood continues to leave ripple effects.
When you decide to transition, everybody else transitions with you,
Whether they want to or not.
whether they want to or not.
It's a transition that had been coming for more than 30 years.
I was a happy little boy. I just had my Tonka trucks like every little boy out there.
So you were a boyish boy, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was a boyish boy. My first feeling when I was younger came when I was about 4 years old. You know, I had a sister, and I would see her clothes, and I would see my clothes, and I didn't like my clothes so much as I did hers.
Ted kept those thoughts and feelings secret, but they continued throughout his childhood and into adolescence.
I remember days sitting in classes, and it was torture. I would look at these girls with this long, beautiful hair. I couldn't sort it out whether, I wanted to be that girl or be with that girl, and it was very hard.
Then in high school, Ted began keeping a hidden stash of women's underwear that he wore on the sly under his regular clothes.
You didn't go to stores and buy them.
No, I would order them off of the catalogs like Sears or whatever, and I would get a post office box and have them all sent there.
Clever.
The most ultimate collection of Victoria's Secret underwear, very expensive stuff that I've ordered, And one day I came home and there's a bag out on the kitchen table, and it's turned out and it's all my clothes and underwear and stuff. And my mom's like, we need to talk about this. I'm like, no, Mom. I was like, I've held on to this stuff long enough. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff. So I just got rid of it all.
He soon bought more.
You had been cross-dressing in private.
I had been cross-dressing in private. I only had men's underwear if I was going to the doctor or something.
Ted felt completely alone, unaware of the millions of people who struggle with gender identity issues. By his late 20s, Ted was in a relationship serious enough that he felt safe sharing his secret.
You know, without getting too intimate, your heterosexual sex life was fine.
It was fine with her, you know, and I didn't think about sex with men.
So you were always attracted to women?
I was always attracted to women, but it came to a point where I needed to start expressing myself more. And she got to the point where she says, I need to be with a man.
A real man?
I need a real man.
What did she mean by that?
She knew better than myself where I was going in life.
Several months after being dumped, desperate to get his life on track, Ted got engaged to Renee, a redhead he'd had his eye on for years.
So you set out to get hitched?
I did.
And so you met Renee.
I met Renee.
And legitimately fell in love.
Yep, and I loved her.
Another day and you open your eyes.
We dated for 3 weeks and I proposed to her. The first question my mom asked me was, did you tell her? Because my mom knew, I had confided to my mom that I had these feelings early on in my 20s.
Not only feelings, but a walk-in closet full of women's clothing in size extra large.
I told Renee right before we got married. I opened up the closet and I said, everything in this room belongs to me. And she started looking around. So? And I just looked at her and I says, everything in this room is mine. And she says, oh.
And he told me he went to counseling, and the counselor said, you're fine. And I just thought that was an aspect of him that I could live with, you know.
So you didn't think...
It wasn't going to interfere with our life.
And it wasn't going to stop your romance.
Right.
Or your marriage, for that matter.
Right.
Ted and Renee had a private wedding ceremony in the Poconos, and within months, Renee was expecting their first son. That's when things first started to unravel. Ted was occasionally mean to his pregnant wife, although she didn't know why.
I wanted to be the one there carrying this baby, you know? And I wanted to feel that life inside me.
I didn't recognize it. Maybe if I thought it was jealousy, maybe it was jealous of the baby and not of actually me.
It was only when the family was faced with a medical mystery that their lives truly came undone. The secret that would change the Prince family forever. When we come back. By the summer of 2003, life settles into a reliable rhythm for Ted and Renee Prince. Ted's stash of women's clothing in closets and hidden boxes has grown, but not significantly, and though there's still confusion, he's busy with work and the birth of a second son, Barry. But a quick spin on his motorcycle was about to change everything.
Got on my motorcycle, started down my street, and a bee went down the front of my shirt. And I told Renee, I've been stung by a bee. She knew that that was serious because I'm highly allergic.
Renee rushed her husband to the hospital.
They start putting me on IVs of epinephrine and different hormones, trying to counter and stop this bee sting reaction.
A blood test at the hospital led to an endocrinologist and a diagnosis that Ted says explained why he'd felt so different his entire life.
And they sat me down and they said, are you aware of having Klinefelter syndrome? And I says, no, what is that?
It's one of the most common chromosomal abnormalities in humans. Normally, a male is born XY and a female XX, but 1 out of every 500 boys is born XXY. One of the main side effects of Klinefelter syndrome is a much lower level of testosterone than the average XY male.
And this answered a lot of questions for you.
Oh yeah, the veil was off. This is why, you know, I tap dance like a little cat on the fence of the gender line, you know? I can't commit to either side, you know? Appearance-wise, I looked like every other male. But on a DNA chromosomal scale, I was neither.
Chloe says the doctors told them the severity of the sting reset his endocrine system, and gradually his body started to change.
I noticed that my nipple area started to be very tender, hurting, almost like there was something underneath.
She asked me, do you think my breasts are growing, growing boobs? And I didn't think so, and I thought if it was there, maybe he was gaining some weight.
But it wasn't weight. Ted was developing breasts.
I wasn't producing as much testosterone, and I started producing more estrogen. I could see that the fat density in my face and my body, the softness of my skin, my muscular features were all changing at that point.
With an actual medical diagnosis, Ted finally felt free to express his secret persona.
I wanted to physically align my body and appearance with how I felt inside. I wanted to be authentically myself.
Which was female.
Which was female.
But for everyone else in Ted's life, his parents, his friends, and especially his wife Renee, becoming his authentically female self was devastating.
When the Klinefelters kicked in, that is when he lost his strength to be a man.
Well, Renee saw it on a daily basis, and each day it was another death for her, because it would be something like I would start adding earrings, or I started adding a woman's ring on my finger.
That you would walk out the door with.
Yeah, with men's clothes still on.
For the next 2 years, Ted lived predominantly as a man, but in sort of a gender no man's land, a hybrid. He grew his hair long, but would pull it back into a ponytail for work as a repair technician for a phone company. He wore men's clothing, but with a woman's touch or flair.
And I would wear like a girl's blouse underneath, and then I would wear this with just like a button deal. Like one button, like a little hint of something fruity going on, and nobody was there. It was like, whoa! I was like, what?
2 years after the bee sting, eventually Ted's breasts had grown so much he needed to wear a bra.
Went to a water park, and I took off my shirt, boobs, and they're like, ma'am, ma'am.
Even Ted's male co-worker noticed the changes.
We were working together so much, it was unavoidable. This is the first time I'm wearing a bra in front of us, another guy, and, he asked me about it. I just said, this is what's happening to me.
I can't imagine that conversation where he turns to you and say, Ted, why are you wearing a bra?
Yeah, and he was just really good with it.
4 years after the bee sting, Ted officially changed his name to Chloe and began living life full-time as a woman. Per transgender guidelines, a transsexual must live in the gender of choice for 1 year before they can undergo a sex change operation. And yet it was still a shock when Renee, the dutiful wife, was told her husband was gonna become a woman.
And I said, I'm going to have a surgery and become physically, completely a female. She didn't take that so well.
I didn't want to accept it and begged, pleaded, cried. Please don't, honoring your mother and father, and how can you do this? And the kids need a dad, and nothing I could say would change.
What was her reaction?
If you have that surgery, I won't be here when you get back.
Ted's father, Barry Prince, was also less than supportive.
My dad did not take this well initially, and he was my worst advocate. My dad and I had a great relationship before. He was my best friend, and he told everybody else I was his best friend.
But everything changed when Chloe's dad, Barry, watched as his son slowly disappeared.
I was devastated. I couldn't believe that I had raised my child so poorly that this was happening to me.
So you blamed yourself?
Oh, sure. I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I was thoroughly ashamed of myself. And I had lost the best friend I had in the world. That's what hurts the most.
It was a suicide attempt that finally got through to Ted's father.
It's not something I'm proud of. I got on my motorcycle, decided to drive as fast as I could down a lone road and at night, and I was going to run into something. And I kept thinking how selfish that would be. And take those little boys, take everything away from them. I couldn't do that.
I saw pictures of Dad that I had never seen before, where he was just so sad. And he had told me that he had thought about suicide, and I thought, oh my God, I'll do anything to avert this. I will walk through fire for him. And I will try and understand this.
Feeling as if he had no other choice, Ted, now Chloe, forged ahead. In May 2008, she flew to Thailand for their world-renowned sex change specialists. After 13 hours of surgery, her male brow bone was shaved down, and her penis was refashioned to form a vagina.
Most men would never part with their sex organs.
I've removed a birth defect. So men can't understand that because that's part of their identity. Taking it away from me gave me my identity.
When you first got a real glimpse of yourself as a woman, what was that like?
There was no hint of the man behind the woman. It was just the girl, and it was magic.
But would it be magic for Renee, seeing her husband now as a woman for the first time?
Well, it was kind of scary because I met her at the airport when she came back from the operation, and I was just scared I wasn't going to recognize her face.
And what about their sons, the 6 and 7-year-old boys? How would they react when we come back? Chloe Prince, formerly Ted, returned from Thailand a new woman, literally. She was away for more than a month.
This is pre-op, but I had had top surgery.
Blogging regularly to keep her friends in the loop.
Here's a before and after of my facial surgery. The nightmare was over.
And yet, you've also described it as opening a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Her nightmare was over, but a different issue was emerging. How would the new Chloe fit into her old family?
Am I my dad's son still, or am I his daughter? Am I her wife? Am I her husband?
Renee had threatened to leave Chloe before the surgery, but couldn't bring herself to do it. She says she stayed for the kids.
Describe for me how difficult it must be to be in love with somebody who is in many ways no longer that person, and yet in many ways is exactly that same person.
You know, Chloe's completely a woman, and you would never think anything other than that. But to me, I don't see that. I still hear my husband, same voice. I still see the eyes. I still see the same eyes.
My wife, I feel, has left my relationship a long time ago.
We asked Chloe to chronicle her feelings in a video diary.
The man that she married is gone, but with that, so did the feelings she had for that man. They're gone.
But Chloe says her romantic feelings for Renee are still strong.
I still see her through the same eyes that Ted did. She's still the same gorgeous, beautiful woman. So she's 3 feet away from me in bed. And I want to go over there, I want to hug her. I want to kiss her, and I can smell her. It's torturous. And when the lights are off, she says, I can still hear Ted's voice, and I can even smell it's still the same. But she says, I'm not a lesbian.
Are there ever moments in the quiet times and in the dark where you forget for a second?
Mm-mm.
It's always there.
Mm-hmm. I warned him, I can't do that. And I think that he thought that I was going to change, that it was going to change. Somehow, I would still feel like having sex, and I don't.
Where does the physical affection end? Where's the line?
The physical affection ends with a hug. She still kisses me.
Just not with, I'm not real crazy about the lipstick.
but there is no intimacy.
Oh, I miss being able to go out on a date with my husband and sit next to him and hug him and kiss him in public. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Okay.
Any woman watching this at home, any mom would be like, you get married, one of you's the mom, one of you's the dad, you're holding up your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Where's your coat?
It gets confusing. It's not that I'm not saying I'm not happy. I won't say that. Okay? That's not a good thing to say. No, I'm fine.
But things aren't fine. For example, Chloe was hurt when Renee took a Mother's Day portrait for school without her.
She shows me these pictures.
Somebody seems to be missing from that image.
Yeah, their other mom. Me.
She's the mom and you're not.
Yes. This is something surgery can't fix anymore. And so I was really hurt by this. It's a huge conflict. I just want a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill, quiet life for myself and my kids. And I can't have that if there's a conflict in our house all the time.
The constant conflict at home pushes Chloe to think about other options, including men.
You know, holding doors for you, and they talk to you so gentle, and they look at you, and there's a sparkle in their eye like that people get around a pretty girl. And I light up and I respond to that so well.
Even with the future of their marriage uncertain, Chloe insists on shedding her former self. She's giving away all her men's clothes.
This is kind of letting go and completely solidifying what I am now, irreversibly Chloe, and happy and content and no looking back.
Renee and Chloe are living in parallel universes. Chloe is looking forward. Renee is looking back, mourning what feels like the loss of her spouse.
Renee, how do you feel packing away Ted's clothes?
I'm a little sad because it brings back memories of when it's just a sad thing to say goodbye.
It's unworkable. If I could write history, I would like Renee to have a husband. I don't want to let her go, but I know I have to. I want to, but I don't want to. There's selfish parts of me that love seeing my children every day and love seeing her every day. And she is not living the full life that she would like to, that life that she's earned and deserved.
Do you want to stay married to Chloe?
I don't want to get divorced. No, I'm not planning that. I'm not planning that. So if she says, Renee, I want a divorce, and she goes through that, okay. What am I going to do?
And what are the kids gonna do? Watch the look on their faces as their mother tries to explain why she can never be their father again.
I had to fly to a place where they can give me a surgery that made me from having a boy part down here to being a girl's part.
Inside one of the most unusual conversations to ever take place between a parent and a child when we come back.
Oh, she's gonna tease it up.
A year after her surgery, almost everyone has come to terms with the new Chloe. Work colleagues and friends.
I remember saying, I like you as Ted, I'll like you as Chloe, whatever. It's what you are on the inside.
Did you see that?
But what about Chloe and Renee's sons, Logan and Barry? Their father transformed in front of their very eyes, bringing all of them into uncharted territory.
Love you.
Did you always have two mommies?
No.
Yeah? What?
Probably he just woke up as a girl.
He just woke up as a girl? She woke up as a girl. Do you know what happened?
She had a girl inside her, and so she went on her surgery to get it out.
Really?
Chloe had tried to explain to her children gently but thoroughly about her transition.
I had to go away. I had to fly to a place where they can do and give me a surgery that made me from having a boy part down here to being a girl's part. And it took a while for that to heal until I could travel again. Do you understand? Yeah.
But once again, a Mother's Day card from school leads to confusion.
I just bring it home for both of you guys because I don't know which one to give it to. So.
Well, Mama Nate is your mama, and I am your daddy. But for the rest of my life, I will be living
as a girl,
and I will be fulfilling the role of being another mother. And you get the benefit of having two moms and a dad. Who gets that?
Not very much people.
Yeah.
It feels like having two moms and 0 dads. Looky.
The boys may seem unfazed, but many of their friends can't come to their house anymore.
You can't have over here, huh? How come?
Because his mom won't let him.
His mom and his dad are uncomfortable having him over here. Well, because I'm different.
I go under that.
Every minute of every day, I'm very worried about them being unhappy, maybe somebody teasing them for their dad, for them being left out because their family isn't like everybody else's family.
Earlier this summer, children actually started giving Barry a little bit of a hard time. Logan was going over there, and the one oldest child said, "Hey, no girls allowed." And Logan said, "I'm a boy." He goes, "Are you sure?"
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
It's not just children who don't know how to react. A former babysitter was completely stunned when she bumped into Chloe on the street.
I'd noticed that she looked pregnant, and I said, "Oh, did you have a baby?" And she says, she looks at me like I was a stranger. She says, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And I said to her, "I'm Logan's dad. I'm Ted. You watched our children. I transitioned. My name's Chloe now." And she was holding the glass, and she just let go of the glass, and it just on the ground, and she just walked away, shaking her head, just shaking her head.
Dr. Michelle Angelo is a gender specialist who's worked with hundreds of transgendered families for 10 years.
One of the most common questions I get from kids is this going to happen to me? And that's almost an inevitable question. And so we talk about that and the likelihood of it being pretty minimal.
The assumption being that this has a negative impact on the kids. Is that necessarily the case?
It's absolutely not the case. This, if handled like any other family transition, meaning a move, a new job, a divorce in the family, if it's handled where the children feel safe and they're allowed to talk about it, then it's not going to be traumatic. In the long run, they'll be perfectly fine.
Tell me about how this has affected your sons. Do you think they've been affected by the transition?
Yeah, they have.
How?
Let's say, for example, my one uncle, he has a Christmas party at his house. We cannot go. We are not invited. I feel like a dirty little secret being tucked away in the shadows of the family.
Do you feel like you've been selfish in some of these choices that you've made?
I carry the selfishness as guilt around constantly. It's something that I'm looking to find resolve for. And I did what I had to do. And had I not done what I did, there'd be a gravestone somewhere with my name on it.
Do you ever miss not having a daddy?
No, not that much, but we kind of do.
You kind of do?
Yeah.
But mostly, they just want to see their parents happy, together.
Does Mama Nay and Mama Chloe ever disagree on things?
Sometimes.
Yeah? Like what?
She doesn't like her changing into a girl.
She doesn't like her changing into a girl?
We feel bad and we don't want them to argue. Yeah, we just want them to like be happy. Be happy that they have each other.
Easier said than done. When we come back, Chloe looks to the past for answers. A reunion with a former love.
I'm nervous. I don't know what she's gonna think, so I hope it's good.
What defines our identity? Our gender? Our sexuality? The way we look? Or the way we feel? Chloe Prince is still trying to figure out who she is and who she's attracted to.
I was pretty smitten with this person a long time ago, and she went out of my life.
A weekend trip to Washington, D.C. is the perfect excuse to reconnect with an old high school girlfriend.
I'm nervous. I don't know what she's gonna think, so I hope it's good. We'll see.
It's been almost 20 years since they've seen each other, and though Jennifer knows about Ted's transition, she's never met Chloe.
How's it going? It's great to see you.
Oh my God, you look beautiful.
Thank you, you do too.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, thanks.
Chloe was nervous not only about how Jennifer would react to her.
It doesn't affect me at all because you're still the same person, you know? And that to me is what really matters.
Aww.
You know?
But how she would react to Jennifer, her former girlfriend.
Initially, when I first saw her, the love that I had for her just rose right up, right to the top. And for a moment, I actually questioned myself. I was wondering, did I make the right choice? And I wondered, maybe I was just with the wrong person. You know, maybe if I wasn't with Renee and I would have been with her, I would have wanted to stay being Ted. That was such a fleeting moment. It was such a fleeting moment.
She'd been through too much to question her choice now, physically, emotionally, and financially.
All total, we're talking
a little over $70K.
$70,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a family that's going through financial straits.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the number. I didn't.
It's a big number.
Mm-hmm. She always has handled the finances.
What's your reaction to that amount of money for a transition?
Where'd she get it?
What makes you laugh?
No, I know basically that she had to take out of her 401k, and we were just kind of just trying to get by.
Renee means that literally, in terms of their finances, not to mention the emotional future of their family.
So now what you have in this house are two people living with history, and they love each other based on what we used to have.
It's hard enough that their relationship is no longer sexual, but for the first time in her life, Chloe has found herself attracted to men.
So, do you occasionally find yourself attracted to men now, too?
All the time. All the time.
Is this a little unexpected for you?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising.
Though numbers are hard to come by, there are an estimated 1 to 3 million people in the U.S. who struggle with gender identity issues. And while many stay attracted to what was the opposite sex, it's not unusual for women like Chloe, who's on high doses of estrogen, to experience altered brain chemistry and start feeling attracted to the new opposite sex.
Have you ever been hit on?
A lot. I get hit on all the time. That sounds so like full of myself, but yeah.
Part of the appeal of men is that they make Chloe feel like a real woman. Because at home, she still wears the pants.
Renee will say, "Can you mow the lawn?" And she says to me, "That's my husband's job. You're my husband, you do that job."
Who cooks dinner for you guys?
Mama Nay.
Uh-huh. And who gives you baths?
Mama Nay.
Uh-huh. Who does the laundry?
Mama Nay.
Uh-huh. And who takes out the trash?
Mama Nay.
Oh, I see a pattern developing.
I would probably put myself in still the position as being the husband in the house. I'm the one that does all the heavy lifting. I'm the one that goes to work and climbs telephone poles for a living. And I'm the disciplinarian, you know, for the children. And
just wait till Mama Chloe comes home.
Exactly. It's the same.
Who roughhouses with the boys?
Oh, that's me. That's definitely me.
And who will teach them sports? And who will teach them how to be a man?
I will do that too. You know what you do to impress the babes when you're walking by? You show your muscles like this. When you're going by, you go like this. Which way to the beach? They see your muscles. All right, put your nose in.
Which way on the beach?
What do you miss of Ted?
It's hard to say that I miss him, but there's nothing of him that I miss because it hasn't gone anywhere. He's still here.
He just looks a little different.
He wears different clothes and he smells better.
Even though so much has changed, much has stayed the same. And although they're still struggling, they are not yet ready to give up on their marriage.
What's bigger is that I still love that person. I still love him, her.
Oh boy.
I'm not trying to be funny.
No, I know. That's what's so amazing. I know you're not trying to be funny. I know that that's
it's really
part of what you live with. What arguments have you made to yourself to stay in this marriage? Why stay?
We're a family, and what happened to him should not end that. I just feel like that is not enough to make our family go away, to end our family.
If you were to look into a crystal ball, which you don't have, and see your life 10, 15 years from now, what would you think it would look like?
How would I like it to be? Being able to be ourselves. And just enjoying being ourselves. And really being happy about what we've accomplished and achieved. And being able to just breathe. It's all behind us now.
When we come back, Renee shares a secret of her own. Stay with us. It was only after we stopped shooting that Renee shared with us something she'd kept to herself for years. Another family secret, if you will. And tonight, Renee is watching this program without Chloe, because tonight, Chloe is back in Thailand. She says she needed more surgery to fix scar tissue so that, as she told us, she could be a fully functioning female down the road, whatever that may bring. Meanwhile, Renee had an emotional breakthrough after our interview. She had a secret of her own. She'd never told any of her friends the truth about her husband and had isolated herself socially because of it. After we left, she decided to send a letter to her former co-workers and friends, finally opening up to them.
My spouse, who is my husband Ted, is now Chloe. For those of you who saw us a few years ago for the company gathering, notice that Ted's appearance has started to change. I never talked about this at work. I guess it was my escape, and there, I didn't have to be Chloe's wife, I was still Ted's wife. Also, I don't like to shock people. This is pretty shocking stuff. I'm starting to think that telling people the truth is more important than hiding. So there it all is. I hope you're okay with this and don't treat me any differently. There are a few of you I wanted and tried to tell, but didn't know how. This TV show solves that. Maybe it's God's way of saying no more secrets.